Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever episode of Behind the Counter from Fiend Zone Video, Behind the Fiends. Today is a very special day for me. I have been able to meet two wonderful people, an aspiring filmmaker and someone who played in quite possibly one of the greatest slasher films ever made. You might have heard of it. 1996 is Scream. Well, I've got the girl in the bathroom, Nancy Ann Ritter, on today, and give me just a second and I will add them both in. Welcome, Les Nolan, the
How's it going?
director of Sam Hain, coming in 2022, and our special guest, Nancy Ann Ritter, the girl from the bathroom in Scream.
I made it out of the bathroom. I made it out alive.
How's things out on the East Coast with you guys? I know you all had some really wonky winter weather.
We did have some wonky. Right now, I'm moving back to New York, but we did have some wonky weather a couple weeks ago when I'm with my parents. I'm a 48-year-old with my parents. Don't tell anyone I'm 48, still living with my parents. But so of course they're in their 80s. So I, of course, was doing the shoveling. But when I saw how much snow, I wasn't prepared for how much. And so when I went out with the shovel, like all of our bushes, like right by the front door, had all just fallen in on the sidewalk. So that took a lot of muscle just to get the bushes to bounce back up. And then we have really good neighbors on the street. So they were like, "Do you need any help?" So two really nice neighbors came over, and then there were little kids that were laughing at me who were helping on one of the other driveways. But yeah, in New York, let's see, I think the last big snowfall that had been here in Virginia was like Snowmageddon in 2010. So I've had to do a little shoveling the last few years here, and we're supposed to get some snow tomorrow night. But where are you guys?
I'm in Ohio.
And I am in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Oh, that's right. In Ohio, where in Ohio are you?
Right outside Youngstown. We have got no snow at all this year, and it sucks. Yeah, I love snow. It sucks.
Oh gosh, I'll send you all this.
We shot a Christmas short the week before Christmas, and it like no snow, so we was gonna like CGI it. It sucked so bad.
How close is like Youngstown to Yellow Springs?
Where's that at?
Oh Lord, maybe near Dayton.
Oh, it's probably like half hour, not too far from Dayton.
Okay, not far from you. Okay.
Yeah.
Before I was born, my dad was a captain in the Navy. So before I was born, he was stationed. They lived in Westerville, and he was stationed in Columbus. But that was while I was still in the clouds somewhere.
Same with me, and my father was a Marine, and I was just kind of out there in the ether as well. By the time he got out the Marine Corps, which he still kind of acted like a Marine, even though he was out, that's when I came along. He was working for a lumber yard at the time. I grew up in North Carolina, which is your neighbor in Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
We never really got too much bad winter weather. Now, that 1993, I know you remember that really bad storm that rolled through the East Coast.
I was at Northwestern University. So 1993, I was just outside of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
In Evanston, which it's so windy there, but we got dumped on snow a lot. So I don't remember what was happening in 93 on the East Coast, because I was just trying to survive with Chicago. Don't ever try to ride a Walmart bicycle on snow. I managed to do it, but it was like a $20 Walmart bike. At one point, I was crossing the street and the whole pedal apparatus just fell apart from the bike. But so 1993 was a big one. Here, okay, I didn't know that. When I moved to, I was at Northwestern. Let's see, 91 to 95, LA 95 to 2000, and then moved to New York. And New York got dumped with some good, a good amount of between 2000 and 2012, we had some good snowstorms. And what always makes me laugh about Manhattan with the snow, like you have your snow boots on, but when they snow plow, it all just gets banked up against when you go to almost cross the street, you have to like climb over this huge snow bank and you're slipping all around, and it just makes me laugh because 8 million other people are slipping and sliding just to get across the crosswalk. So that always made me laugh because New York is like nowhere else that I've ever lived.
Yeah, this place has been weird for me living here in Hawaii because there's no seasons. It's just summer. That's it. Like our winters might be low 80s, and then at night it might get down to 65 degrees, maybe.
Oh.
So you got people out in like board shorts and tank tops at Christmas time. It's just weird.
Oh, I love it. I love it. How did you? So you were born in North Carolina. Then how'd you end up in Hawaii?
Uncle Sam dumped me off here and left me. I was in the Army.
Oh, you were in the Army. Oh, wow. Very cool. So how long have you been in Honolulu?
Oh, this month makes 8 years. Yeah, 2014. So I've been here 8 years.
And the Army is what took you there. And Are you still serving in the Army, or is that assignment?
I retired 2 years after I got here. So it was like I just came here for a cup of coffee and uniform and retired. And then I've been working as a mechanic here on the island ever since, and doing podcasts and meeting indie people in the film community and all this other stuff.
No, that's so cool. I love that. I wanted to tell you I loved your opening, the opening credits before you came in, because I felt like I was in my old Blockbuster. And it made me feel so cozy and nostalgic.
I was telling Les, I've been trying to work on this show that, of course, I'm no actor, but it's kind of like it's like a day in the life of like John working in an old video store, and you as an imaginary customer come in and say you want to rent Lost Boys on VHS, and I'll be like, oh, well, you want to rent this? Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. And then I go into the history of it. And then, like I was telling Les earlier too, like my coworker I call G, but it's really Godzilla. You'll hear him roar in the background every once in a while, like if he's helping a customer or something.
It sounds awesome to me.
Just to entertain myself, if anything else. I mean, that's just me. I was always that film nerd kid, and now I've had this chance as I've been doing this podcast to connect with indie filmmakers like Steve Merlo, Les, yourself as a actress. I've met Andre Gower from Monster Squad. I mean, you name it. I've had that opportunity that maybe as a kid I would have never in a million years thought it. So I feel blessed from that standpoint.
It's so funny, just the winding road in life. Just all the different turns and curves in the road. And tell me, if, in case I missed it, how did you and Les cross paths?
Through Amy Crabtree. Hey, Amy, I know you're going to be on eventually and watch us. She does a lot of promotion for indie films, and she promotes my podcast some too on social media. And she kept sending me stuff for Les. And I went and watched his trailer on Indiegogo. So if any of y'all out there want to support the film, go to Indiegogo.com. There you go. Cheap plug.
Yes. I do want to support it. I'm writing this down.
But I ran into his film through her. I watched the trailer, totally fell in love with it. I fell in love with just the atmosphere, the story that's you could clearly see that's there. It was something different. And so I threw some money at it and signed up as an executive producer.
Wow, so cool. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it's such a small world. So how many months like, has it
I've
been?
only known Les, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
3
long.
weeks, very recently.
Yeah.
But he had been wanting to talk to you, and I was like, look, man, she's going to be on the podcast. I was supposed to have Mandy Cantone, who is our newest co-host for our podcast. But she's moving, so she couldn't be on today. So we were like, okay, Les wants to meet Nancy, and I was like, Les, come on, man. He's like, well, I don't know. I was like, just do it. I've got it.
Yeah.
You just show that pretty face, and I'll do the rest.
But what you do have a pretty face, Les. You both,
Thank you.
you both do. I'm trying to think, Les, who you were by. Well, do you get a little bit of Kurt Cobain thrown your way?
I've never
Yeah.
heard that, but I'll take it.
And you look like a couple of friends of mine. You remind me of a couple of friends of mine. Well, so can I read? Can I read your script, or
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
That puts you on the spot.
No, I can send it to you.
Okay, good. I love that it's making me laugh because the graphic. Oh, hi, Michelle. Oh, her last name is that the girl who played the lead in Prince's movie Purple Rain.
Oh, I never knew that.
Her last name, and Prince gave, so Apollonia, I think, was a name he gave the main actress. He gave her, Apollonia, the name as her performer name, not the character's name, I think. I took my parents to see Purple Rain when Prince passed away. And I did really like it, but I'd never seen it. So, but yeah, they actually they're used to this whole show business thing. they've pretty much seen it all. So,
So I was reading some on you. You went to Duke Ellington School of Art, correct?
yes, I did.
And you were also the classmate of a very well-known comedian by the name of David Chappelle.
Right. That's right. And you called him David, which is what we all, that's what I call him. And yes, I will never forget. So he's still a good friend. And we started at Duke Ellington when we were 14 years old together. And he started at Eastern High School in DC. And I wish he were on here to talk for himself, but I think he came home to his mom after a few weeks and was like, I don't want to stay at this high school. So then because you have to audition for Duke Ellington, and I'll never forget, I wish I had it on videotape, but I think he showed up the beginning of the second semester. So maybe in January, and could have been December. Anyways, his little head, he was so gangly and lanky at that point. He's all jacked. But so this was 1987. You guys are much younger than I am, but he poked us. We were in English class, and Mr. Logan, our English teacher, brought David into the door frame, and I don't know if you guys remember, or maybe some of the audience who are old, like David and I are 48. If any of you all remember those big, like, rugby, they were called rugby shirts.
Mm-hmm.
So David had a Coca-Cola one. So big red panel, then a white panel, horizontal with Coca-Cola in red, and then a big, like, turquoise panel. And and it was so big on him, and then baggy jeans. And I just remember that so vividly. And when the teacher said that David was a theater major, there were three of us theater majors sitting in the front. And we were like, come sit with us. And Mr. Logan, the teacher, was like, do not go sit with the peanut gallery. And we were like, yes. And so we totally were just excited to have him. And he was just he just fit right in, because I think there were some of us started, we started as freshmen, and then a few started as sophomores. So there were about 14 of us, and you literally become like brother and sister, because your academics are 8:30 to 1, and then our theater classes would go 1 to 5. And then whenever we were in production, rehearsals would go till 10 or 11. So we were, David and I and our classmates, we were together, a long day into the night. David remembered recently, well, when I first reconnected with him in 2017, he's like, "Do you remember playing Spin the Bottle?" Must have been during, and it was me, him, a classmate named Aiko, maybe a classmate named Kelly. David has such a good memory, and it was probably between it during a rehearsal break. But I told him I have so many, all of our showcase, we did plays together. And then we also had a lot of showcases of scene work that we were working on. So I have all these wonderful VHS tapes. They're in storage right now, probably 7 or 8 of David doing scenes from The Crucible, by candlelight. He's actually a really good dramatic actor, but the scene work. And I said, David, I don't want to give this to a company to transfer it from VHS to whatever the latest thing is now. But I know he hasn't seen the footage, but it's so funny. You see him do a lot of dramatic work, and Molière, which is a French couplet type writer, and he was having a challenging time with that, I remember. And the teacher was like, well, just do the Molière monologue like you're an opera singer. And he did the monologue like that, and it was so funny. And he started his comedy. I mean, as I'm sure everyone knows, he started his stand-up when he was like 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was so cute. His mom would drive him to the clubs, and I think I wish he were here to talk for himself. But I think after he did his first set, I think as she was driving him, am I allowed to say like curse words and stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Not that one. I think she said as she was driving, do you have to say pussy and something else? And I just thought that, I think it was 2 words. I think pussy was one of them, and he's 14. She was on the PTA with my dad, but yeah, he just, he was such a good friend there. And then we reconnected. He went straight to New York to go right and keep going with the comedy. So we lost touch while I was at Northwestern, and then we reconnected in Los Angeles. And he'd already done some movies, but I'll never forget, he's just a very down-to-earth person. So even though he has a big entourage around him, he's still the same. And my classmate and I, we went to see him perform at the Laugh Factory, and we went back to his hotel room, not as romantic, but and I was like, oh, my apartment's down the hill. And he's like, let's go. And at the time I had a trundle bed that pulls out and pops up. And it was me and Jennifer and David. And we all were looking at old photo albums. And then we all just spent the night again, like G-rated. But then I'll stop talking about it. But what was really sweet was then unfortunately, a long period of time went by, probably like 17 years. I got into a really bad marriage where my ex-husband was physically abusive, and he was the one I was asking. He lives in Ohio and Yellow Springs, so that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
So we lost touch for a long time, and then once I got rid of the bad husband, I was starting to come out of my shell again, and he was doing some shows here in Washington, D.C., and what I thought was so touching actually was the last night I went to see him, took my parents, and then he wanted me to bring a good classmate, one of the Spin the Bottle classmates, the next night. And he did his show, and we watched backstage. And then there was an after party, and right as we all were saying goodbye, and one last thing. Pan-Africa Day, because it was a predominantly African-American school, Black History Month was such a big deal all through February, and Pan-Africa Day. And he remembers we did a whole scene from student uprisings about set in Soweto during the student uprisings, and he remembers. Well, we all three of us remember all the lyrics to this song that we sang, and we all like held the three of us kind of held each other and swayed. And then he goes, "Nancy Ann, I want you to know I'm still me. I'm still me." And then he said the same thing to Aiko, and I don't know. I just I don't want to cry, but I was so moved by that, and yeah. So yeah. So we're in each other's lives, but not. I mean, not right now, but I'll usually text him and just tell him funny stories. And I wasn't prepared. The very first interview I did with Scream several months ago was an audio podcast, and it was right when his special, The Closer, came out.
Yeah.
And I forgot that on IMDb it says that I was his classmate, but I wasn't prepared that I got asked about it, and I hadn't seen the special, and I just said, all I can say is he's a lover of all people. He has a heart of gold, and my friendship with him is really special. And I've always loved all of his specials, and but I wasn't going to be drawn into the any of what the people, any controversy. I just think our friendship's just a very pure, nice friendship, and I think he's amazing, and I know he's always working stuff out through his comedy, and yeah.
Well, the thing about him is I don't think many people are prepared for. And the thing I really respect about Dave is he don't sugarcoat nothing. What? If he sees something that's wrong, he's going to call you out on it.
Yeah.
Now, you might not like it, but
Yeah.
hey, he's going to come at you honest.
Yeah. Yeah. He's totally, that's how he's always been as a person. He was actually a little shy, or it felt like he was a little shy initially at Duke Ellington, and then not shy after that. But yeah, he just tells it like it is. That's what I love about him. Whenever I'm with him, I feel so, I just feel it just feels like we're back to when we were 14-year-olds. And yeah, I love his comedy. I love I just love I guess I love everything about him, and I love that he's balls to the wall, just very in your face, and question, tries to, you can tell he's constantly questioning and learning and opening himself up to, all the things that are happening in society. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about it.
And one of the most powerful specials I think I ever watched him do was the one that he just did on YouTube. It was right after the George Floyd incident.
Yep.
Just him on that farm, and everybody come there, and they thought, oh, it was going to be funny, haha, and it wasn't funny, haha.
Yeah.
But he did it in such a tasteful, classy way. He didn't attack nobody. He just called things out the way that they are.
Yeah.
And he pulled that Band-Aid off, and some people didn't like it. But
yeah,
hey,
it's so interesting now just watching as he and I and my classmates, we've all gotten older, just how wise. It's like he's an old soul I still think we're 48, but I still think of us as young, but he's really just an old soul, so wise. And yeah, the 846 special that he did, I wasn't surprised. That's the David I know. So I was so moved by it, but I wasn't surprised. I knew that's wasn't surprised. I mean, yeah, he is who you see on TV, and there's no artifice. And yeah, he'll wade right into the George Floyd murder. He just goes right into it, and doesn't shy away from the ugliness of that situation and what happened there. He ripped the Band-Aid right off.
Yep. Well, on a lighter note, I guess, how did you ever get involved with Kevin Williamson's little story there, Scream?
Little story. Well, so yeah, I had just moved to LA, and a good friend of mine from Northwestern University at the time, her name is Julie Plec, Plec. She was Wes Craven's assistant, and
Mm-hmm.
she's gone on after that job. She went on to become a producer of the subsequent Scream films, and now she's a huge TV creator, showrunner, executive producer, doing amazing things in the television world. And she called me randomly, must have been right at the beginning of 1996. So I was 22, 23. And she goes, "Hey, how tall are you?" And I said, "I'm 5'7". And this was maybe on a Tuesday. And she said, "Great. Wes Craven's going to be screen testing 5 actresses for the lead role of Sydney. And the average height of the 5 actresses is 5'7". And would I be willing to be the female stand in for Sydney that day, so that in between the 5 different actresses coming in, Wes could set the camera up different ways and lighting, and then could base it off of my height." So Julie was like, "We'll pay you $75." And at the time I was like, "Yes." And I'm in the big time. And so I got there, and, I'd never I come from the theater world since I was 9 years old. So I'd never been in this situation. And we were in a big warehouse space, and it was so fun to watch, actually, the 5 different actresses who he was screen testing. And the 2 scenes he was having them do were and I'll answer your question. I'll get to the answer of your question. But the 2 scenes were the bedroom scene where Skeet Ulrich comes crawling through the window, and they have that little G-rated top of the nightgown action. And then the second scene was when the killer first calls Nev Campbell. And so the first half of the day, he didn't need me. So I just kind of stood behind Wes Craven. He had a good view of his monitor, and then the sets for the 2 little scenes. And like halfway through the day, and it was really interesting, each actress was so different from each other. And Nev Campbell was one of the actresses that day, and she was super sweet. She was actually, I just was minding my own business, but she was actually one that talked to me a little bit, and I just remember thinking she was a nice girl. And then halfway through the day, Wes Craven turned around to me, and he said, he asked me, "Do I know the lines to the 2 scenes?" And because I'd been watching it all day, I was like, "Yeah." And he gave me a little script, and he went to check on one of the actresses, because each actress, they came in, did the scenes a couple of times, and left. They weren't all there all together, so they didn't see each other. So he had me do the bedroom scene, and there was a guy stand-in for Skeet. And if I remember correctly, the guy stand-in ended up being cast as Casey Becker's boyfriend, who gets gutted. He's taped up by the pool and then just gutted. I think, if I'm correct, I think he was the stand-in for Skeet that day. And so I did the scene, and of course, being an actor myself, I thought, oh, if I were auditioning for the role of Sydney, what would be my little spin on it? And I always tell this because I think it's funny or cute. It was fun to see, kind of from Kevin Williamson's script, what got tweaked in the final product. So at the time in that scene, I don't know if you remember, Nev Campbell says to Skeet Ulrich, "Oh, you thought you could sneak in my window and we'd have a little raw footage."
Yep.
So the line at the time on that day was, "Oh, you thought you could sneak in my window and we'd have a little bump." So like the word bump hyphen bump. So I remember seeing that. I thought, oh, what would I do? And so when I did the line, I just tried to have a lot of fun with bump because I'd never had heard that expression. And so then we did the phone call scene, and right afterwards, Wes Craven beelined up to me, and he put out his hand and he shook my hand and he said, "That was excellent." And then he went to go check on one of the actresses who was in hair and makeup. And as he was exiting the big space, he said, "Have her read for one of the bathroom girls." And and I wish I could say I'm exact. It sounds so 25 years later, it sounds almost not real, but it was real. And then Lisa Beach, the amazing casting director, came running over. And she was like, "Hi, I'm Lisa." She said, "Once we finish casting the lead roles, we'll start bringing in actors for the smaller parts." So I initially read for the cheerleader. I was terrible in my audition. and he would usually, when you audition for a movie, it's usually just the casting director and yourself as the actor. And then if the casting director likes you and if you are right for the role, they'll start calling you back. And then eventually the film director will come in if they're really liking you, like maybe on audition number 3. But Wes Craven was there, and I didn't have a cheerleading outfit. I wore a little black mini skirt and a little baby doll t-shirt that said "Girls Rule." And so when I was shaking their hands, which I didn't need to shake their hands, I knew everyone in there, but he started bowing to me, and obviously because of the Girls Rule t-shirt. But I couldn't believe, I mean, he just was so nice. He seemed, this will sound so vain, but he seemed enchanted. I mean, I was just like, what have I done to be, make him seem a little bit enchanted by me? That sounds so braggarty when I said that out loud, but he just was so nice. I had all these makeup props. So it was probably the worst audition I gave. So Leonora, who played the cheerleader, is so perfect. And then initially, I think they called, do you remember the party scene at the very end? There's 2 girls in the party scene. There's like a blonde girl. If you watch it again, you'll see there's a blonde girl and a curly brunette.
Talking about the Stu's house.
Stu's house, yeah. And they say a couple of lines to Courtney Cox. I think, if I remember correctly, that's what I was initially offered. And I was like, sure. And then I got a random phone call, like on a Tuesday again, and the production director said, "Wes has moved up the shooting of the bathroom scene in the schedule. Can you be on a plane? I mean, would you like to play the girl in bathroom?" And I said, I was like, "Yes, of course." And I think I was on the plane the very next day, flying out of Burbank up. We were picked up in Oakland, and then on the set almost, I think, the very next day in Santa Rosa. So it all happened super quickly. And, I had put all my actor focus on the cheerleader. So I really had to spend a lot of time exploring and jumping into the girl in bathrooms skin. But yeah, it was it happened so fast. Leonora was so nice. We each had our own hotel room, but we rehearsed the bathroom scene in her little hotel bathroom, and we used the bathtub as like the 2 stalls we come out of. And then we were on the set the next day. I feels like it was on a Friday. And then Wes was able to get everything he needed on Friday. I think he had us, we stayed through the weekend in case he was going to need us for Monday, and which was fun just to have a little extra time there. But he got everything in that day. Nev Campbell wasn't there that day. They shot her reaction shots when she's hearing the awful things, the gossip that we're engaging in, and then the awful mean things the cheerleaders saying. She did that on a different day.
Well, I mean, when I watch that scene, you 2 don't seem like you're, oddball at all. It seems like you 2 have basically spent months together getting to know one another, because the way you played off each other, I didn't know that it was just a spur of the moment thing. I figured you had been on set all that time and got to know all of them and was comfortable with everybody. And, so, I mean, bravo. I mean, y'all played off each other perfectly just for that little bit of time.
And I think, well, thank you. And I was looking at a picture the other day of it, and that scene goes by so quickly, but at that time, that's when a lot of girls wore mini backpacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember I had the mini backpack that I wore was mine. And I think when I see there's a little shot of Leonora at the sink, and I think she's used, I guess I brought up too many backpacks. I mean, like two, not TOO, but too many backpacks in my suitcase. And I think the one she's got in her hands is the little black one that I had. So I thought, if I'm remembering correctly, I thought that was a fun little memory. But yeah, it was thanks to Leonora. She was so welcoming. She grew up in that world, the movie world, grew up in the Pacific Palisades. She was already very close with the main cast, and she just made me feel so comfortable. And she's such a cool girl. So her being so welcoming to me made me feel good. So
Yeah, and it's one of those scenes that'll live forever. I know when you first came on, before we actually went live, we were talking. That scene's impactful. I mean, it, like you said, you didn't realize just how impactful it was, but it clearly is. Everybody knows that scene.
Mhm.
Sydney hiding in the stall, and Lenore's being, super mean, and
Yeah.
you're kind of wanting to be, but at the same time, you're like, I don't know if I go that far. This is a little,
the teen suicide is out there. Oh yeah, I mean, her little monologue, the cheerleaders monologue, is just, yeah, it's just so. I love the little conversation starting when we're in the stalls, and then the thing that I thought was fun. I hope the audience did, or the fans. I just love how they're talking about something murder, just like like they're at a shopping mall, like Drew Barrymore's character just getting killed, and I'm like, what would Sydney want with Steve? She has her own bubble butt boyfriend Billy. Like, I just love that they're talking about this butcher. And then the other line I love that I get to say is, cut some slack. She watched her mom get butchered, and I just I just think it's so interesting that they're having this conversation about the very sad thing that happened, grisly murder of butchering and hanging up of Drew Barrymore's body from that tree. And that's when I read the script, that was what I found, what I was arrested by and found so compelling, was how Kevin Williamson just took two gossipy girls, and then you and have that gossip going back and forth. And I remember Wes, he just he really well, when they first started doing my close-ups, Wes Craven came into the bathroom, and because he was outside of the bathroom, if that makes any sense, because when they did our close-ups, they removed the two bathroom mirrors. And he came in and he's like, "You look grotesque." And he said, and I knew exactly what he meant. And he goes, "It looks like you're playing to a Broadway theater of like 1,000 people." And he was totally right, even though I couldn't see the playback, but I knew. And he just kept saying, "Shave it, shave it, shave it." And then one of my little lines, the "you're evil" line and the "cut some slack" line, he just wanted super just quiet, and in response to the cheerleaders just off the wall wicked comments. And he was just very gentle. And I was so nervous because coming from theater, that's such a different ball game. When I was at Duke Ellington, I'd only done little industrial films for the Department of Labor. So that was the extent of my on-camera experience. But Wes was he was just so gentle, so lovely. I was so nervous, and I wish it would be fun if people could have been there watching, because I always thought as an actor, I knew about hitting your marks, the tape marks on the floor. But then what they did, the first thing they did, they didn't like the band. When the cheerleader exits, as she exits the stall, you hear the bam of the bathroom stall door. And then the same way with mine. So Wes he wanted to get rid of that sound. So they put a crew guy in each of our stalls, and there were toilets. I mean, this wasn't a real high school bathroom, because you guys, I'm sure, know the high school that had agreed to let them shoot there pulled out of it, and then Wes at the end of the credits says, "And no thanks whatsoever to the Santa Rosa High School," something like that.
Yeah.
So this bathroom, I mean, it looked so real. I felt like I was in obviously a real high school bathroom, but it was all built in this warehouse space, I guess, where the principal's office was too. But so they put the two crew guys, but because the stall was so narrow, the crew guy behind me, super nice guy, was straddling the toilet, and then he had to hold me back by my collar, because with him in there, my door was kind of opening out a little bit because of my body. So he has me by the collar, and then when it's my turn to come out, he releases my collar, and then he grabs the door to make sure it doesn't have the bam sound. So then the tape marks on the floor, but then they put plywood on each of the cheerleaders' sink and my sink, so that if we felt the plywood hitting into our stomachs, we would know we were bending over too much doing our makeup. And then they had dangling red tape from the ceiling also in our eye line. So I literally was like, I mean, you can't tell in the scene really, but I felt like a little caged bird because I didn't want to mess up anything. And Leonora was just so comfortable. So that I was just so nervous because that's so different from being on stage. And so when I went to the cast and crew screening, actors are typically very critical of seeing themselves back. And but yeah, I just remember I felt like I was in a straitjacket because I didn't want to make any mistakes. But I thought all of that was super fun. But yeah, at the time I was petrified.
My question about that is, how many takes did you all have to do before you actually got that right, of being confined into this little stall?
It is 25 years ago. My memory is good with some things and terrible with other things. I know that if I remember correctly, not that many, because they shot I still call the principal Fonzie. They shot Henry Winkler's death scene, or they finished that and then started our scene. And I feel like I'd have to ask Leonora if she remembers the same thing. I feel like it only took us half a day, like the afternoon. So it didn't seem like, I guess that is also what made me nervous. There weren't a lot of takes. So again, if I remember correctly, you didn't have a lot of time to fuck up, because it was like, again, with theater, you have so much rehearsal. You have at least a month of rehearsal. You can really try things, fall on your face. But with this, he first did, I think, a wide shot of the two of us as we're coming out of the stalls. Then they removed each mirror to get the close-ups with the Cheerleaders Monologue. And then I'm sure Wes Craven didn't really have much footage he could take from me. Like, I have that one close-up of where, like, I'm so appalled at what she's saying. But it went fast. So I don't exactly remember how many takes, but it didn't seem like a lot. So that was maybe twice through of the wide shots, and then a few times of the close-ups. So yeah, I think just how fast it was going was what also was making me so nervous too.
Well, with horror movies, Les, you could probably speak on this being a director. It all depends on budget, I guess, how many takes you can do, because it's like, okay, look, we're just going to get as close as we can and just go with it. Because I've seen movies like that, and it's all based off of budget. And historically, horror movies don't get a whole lot of money from the big studios. Yeah. So it's normally, okay, well, that's good for government work. Let's move on to the next shot, But Wes is such a master. It's like he gets everything. It's almost like on the first take, it seems like.
Yeah. He specifically knew exactly what he wanted. Yeah. It felt like a well-oiled machine. I know I'll just say, if I remember correctly, and I'll stop saying that, I think Drew Barrymore's scene, I want to say, took 5 days. And he'd already shot that scene. And I don't think, because I remember Skeet and David Arquette arrived that weekend after our bathroom scene. So maybe they'd at least done Drew Barrymore's scene, and I guess then our scene, Fonzie's scenes, and then I guess the main cast. But yeah, it did seem, my little time of being on the set, that Wes just knew exactly. I mean, the script is so good, Kevin Williamson's script, and then Wes, being the amazing director he is, just knew exactly what he wanted, and then just asked the actors to deliver, exactly what was needed. Yeah.
How about you, Les? You got any questions? I know you've been awful quiet.
Yeah, I just am enjoying the stories. It's really cool. I don't really have any questions. I'm just here to listen to the stories, honestly.
I'll tell you what, I mean, I hope the fans are enjoying the stuff I'm saying, but I thought when I was in the makeup trailer, then they were putting the lovely makeup on me and they cut my bangs. They showed me really cool Polaroids of Drew Barrymore, like of her actual face with the wig. I think that was a wig that Drew Barrymore asked them to cut, just in that style that it was. And did someone sneeze?
No, I coughed.
Oh, you coughed. But they had cool just Polaroids of close-ups of her, like having just been killed. And then I think in the trailer they had a model of her face. Because when she's hanging there, it's just her limp body that was a body that they made, and the face that looked literally just like Drew Barrymore's face. So just little stuff like that was fun to see. So yeah, they must have just finished that, because the Drew Barrymore head was sitting there. And yeah, so just little things like that, I thought. And what I thought was interesting, again, I could be wrong on this, but I think Drew Barrymore said in an interview years ago that, because someone was asking her, how did you maintain the intense emotion that she has to go through take after take after take? And obviously I shouldn't be speaking for Drew Barrymore, but I think she said, because she's a lover of animals, I think that Wes Craven just would tell her right before the take would start, just awful bludgeoning of animals. And then that would get her right into where she needed to be, because that scene, I mean, that scene's so well done, and she has to go from 0 to 100, pretty quickly. But yeah, I was so excited to be there. It's fun, just like you guys. It's so fun to kind of know some of the behind the scenes tricks of the trade, and but yeah, it was the whole experience was super amazing, and went by so quickly. But the crew was amazing. Wes was amazing. Lisa Beach, the producers, and then because of Leonora being close with the main characters, I got to know some of them. Probably Skeet the best through Leonora, and just I felt very welcomed, and I did access a lot of alcohol during like at the rap party, because I was just like, what am I, 23 and just in this new scene. But so I actually realized after that, I thought, I'm going to be acting for the rest of my life. I can't be leaning on the alcohol to make me feel comfortable in this new situation. But
I'm an 80s and 90s kid too, so believe me, I took my share of things that I won't talk about too much on here, but
I'd already blacked out from alcohol when I was in college, had to take 9 hours of alcohol counseling. Then I had another blackout. So I stopped drinking in LA, and I was not a big drinker. I was just so skinny and had no tolerance for it. And then a movie I did where I met my lovely ex-husband was an independent film called Charlie's Party, and I got to play a big character in that one. And my character drinks to where she passes out, and so I thought, oh, I better do it too. And then I really did black out during the scene, and so they couldn't. I was delivering all my lines to the floor, but I thought I
think we lost her for a second. Nancy, you there? I think we lost her there for a second.
Man, I love the stories.
Yeah.
So cool.
Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of a technical difficulty. Hopefully we'll get her back here in a second. Let me try moving and putting her back in. See if that helps. Well, did we lose our guest? Well, she'll be back here in a second, hopefully.
Yeah. She seems really cool. I love the stories.
Behind the Fiends stuff, or behind the scenes. I'm so used to saying behind the scenes because of the damn podcast, but the behind the scenes stuff, man, of how the donuts are made is kind of what always interested me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Let's see. We can get her back in here. Maybe her phone died. Possibility. Well, while we're waiting on her, Les, how's the campaign going for the movie?
It's going real good. We're at like 44% raised. Got like 22 days left. Gonna start filming in March, at the end of March.
Yeah, it seems to be everybody's time frame. I know Steve Merlo with the Sawyer Massacre. I think he's shooting for March. I think Michelle Blasky, the Third Channel, I think she's shooting for that time frame as well. They had the earthquake there in Cali. I guess the factory from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch got damaged in the earthquake.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So I don't know if she's going to be able to use that or not.
Yeah, we shot the short like a week before Christmas, and the whole time I'm just complaining because there's no snow. You know, guarantee by the time it comes March and we're ready to film, it's going to be snowing. That's just my luck. It's gonna be so shitty.
Yeah, I guess up around Cleveland, all you get is like wet, cold rain.
Yeah, no snow at all, really, man. Like nothing to stick, you know. It's cold as fuck, but no snow. No snow. And then we tried to like CGI the snow in the short, and it just so much work.
I think maybe her phone died.
Oh,
what I'm thinking. Because it's still showing her active now on Facebook, but I resent her the link and she's not read it yet. So most time that tells me that maybe the phone died.
Yeah. That sucks. Man, I was really enjoying her stories. So cool.
Michelle just said that they're supposed to get 6 to 12 inches on Sunday into Monday. No, thank you.
I wish.
I mean, I like snow, but living here in Hawaii, if we got that much snow, nobody here would know how to handle it. You'd have, well, I work at a body shop, so it would be awesome for us because we'd get plenty of work because everybody be wrecking all over the place. But other than that,
you planning on just staying there?
So I'm supposed to go take a test for the United States Postal Service. John might become a mailman. That's weird, right? But
I dig it.
I might be moving back to Ohio because, not to put too much of my personal business out there, but my dad's not been doing all that great, and might need to get back and kind of help the family a little bit. Plus, all my kids are grown and out on their own now, and I live alone. Well, except for my cat, which she's in hiding right now for whatever reason. Normally, when I'm online and streaming or anything, she's always right here sitting on the desk, peeking in at people. Yeah, that kind of sucks, man. I hate that we lost her. It's a casual occurrence between January and February here in New York, Central New York, Syracuse. Go Orange.
Have you watched the new Scream yet?
Nope. I want to go this weekend and go see it.
Nobody that I talked to has seen it, and I just have to hold all this shit in.
But it's worth it. It's not,
dude,
just fan service.
It's good. It's really good. It's getting a lot of shit. I see online, like reviews. It's getting a lot of shit, but it's mostly for the same part that I didn't like. But in my opinion, the rest of the movie makes up for it.
Yeah, I heard there was a certain scene in there that they didn't need. Unfortunately, I got it spoiled for me. I'm not going to do that to you guys on here. And when I heard about it, I was like, yeah, that probably, and it might not be the same scene that you're talking about, but I kind of went at it like, yeah, maybe that was a scene that they could have threw away.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily need to have it. It just involves one of the characters having a link to something from the past, let's just say. I just didn't feel like that needed to be there.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I love that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm burned out on a lot of these movies now, having all these Easter eggs and all this other crap. But that's just me. Like Ghostbusters Afterlife, I watched that the other day and I fell in love with it, and I didn't mind the Easter eggs in it because it was like, well, it's a complete, just love letter to Harold Ramis, and the fact that, it's a tribute to him and his character and his legacy, really. So I didn't mind that so much. Bill Murray just acted really odd in that one scene, and it was like I don't know. It was like he didn't necessarily want to be in the film or something.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
It's okay. I mean, it's not like the greatest Ghostbuster film. What'd she say? You can message me on Facebook or IG if you want to chat about it.
Scream.
Oh, she went to watch Scream. And Mandy,
I know a couple people that are going to see it tonight. So
Andy says, I like Easter eggs too. I do too. It's just some films overdo it. They go too far with it. And it's just lazy storytelling because they'll get so caught up in the, hey, we put this here. Hey, we put this here. That's what I hated about Halloween Kills. And I've been crucified enough for that already. I've got hate emails and everything else for my feelings on that movie. But it just felt like you've got Michael Myers, and then all of a sudden the whole entire town is banding together to kill him. And it was just, I don't know, it was just odd. And it was just, well, these are all the characters from the original movie, all grown up now. And it's like, I don't give a shit. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I really don't care that Tommy Doyle's back. I mean, who the fuck give a, I mean, Paul, I didn't give a shit when Paul Rudd played him. So why am I going to care that Anthony Michael Hall is playing him now? So,
yeah. Yeah, that movie was real boring to me.
I mean, the kills were great, and James Jude Courtney done a fantastic job playing Michael. I have no complaints there.
I didn't really like the 18 one either.
Yeah, the 18 one was just, I think what it was, me and Steve Merlo talked about it one day. It felt like we were so just disgusted with the Rob Zombie and all the other crap and that came before it, the Cold of Thorn shit and all that when the 18 came out, it was like refreshing, and it was like, yes, we got Laurie back, and it's not Buster Rhymes kicking the shit out of Michael Myers and all that other stuff. But then when I go back and I rewatch it, it's like it wasn't all that. When I gave it a second, third, fourth view, and it was like, it was okay. But I mean, it wasn't the greatest. Certain films, man, I don't know. Certain films, it's like you can't make a sequel for. Sorry, you can't. I totally believe Halloween from the 78 was a movie that I really don't think you could have made a sequel for. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't think you could have made a sequel for, because those are movies that was like catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And it only happens once.
I feel like they tried too hard, man. Like, John Carpenter had like barely a fucking budget for that first Halloween. And they're putting like so much into these new ones. It's just, it seems like every other movie to me.
Certain movies deserve, or well, no, I take that back. Certain movies work better when you have a shit budget.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Like, dude, I love the feel of like the first Halloween. It's just like, it's like it's shot really shitty, honestly, and it just that's what makes it scary to me.
Test. Okay, there I'm back. I have got to go get a mic cord today, guys, so I apologize. I think I rolled over it with my office chair here, and I damaged it, so I have to wiggle it every once in a while. Kind of sucks, but yeah, like the scenes that Carpenter did where he had the leaves blowing down the street. He said they shot that in spring.
Yeah.
So as they would throw the leaves out to blow, then they would have to go rake the leaves back up and rebag them to use them again later. It was just little things like that.
It's cool as shit.
Total guerrilla filmmaking, dude. I mean,
yeah.
But I love that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, she said, hi, I'm here just trying. She said she just lost a connection. She's on her laptop, so she'll be back here in a second.
Cool.
So again, guys, happens. It's called the internet. It's not perfect. I like Nancy, man. She seems like cool peeps. Seems like kind of
really cool.
One of those women that you could just go out and have a beer with, man.
Not too much or she'll black out.
Yeah. You don't need mysteries to solve the next day. I've done that before. I literally got drunk one time when I was stationed in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is Uncle John's wartime stories, everybody. I got drunk while I was stationed in Georgia. I woke up in the barracks the next day, freaked out, didn't know how I got back to the barracks. All I remember is I was in Savannah, Georgia, and everybody was like, dude, you were off the chain last night and all this. And I'm looking around like, I don't remember none of this shit. And they were like, we went into this bar called Savannah Smiles. It's a dueling piano bar like they kind of had in the Old West. And they had the two piano players there playing, and I guess they were playing Sweet Child of Mine. And John here decided he was going to do like the females, because they had females that would get up on top of these pianos and dance. And I guess I felt that I was going to be one of those females. So I jumped up and tried to do the Axl Rose strut. And I guess I got scooped up by a bouncer and thrown out. So yeah, that's
lame.
Which explained the scrape on my elbow and the bruises on my shins that I didn't understand how I got. So that happened. And then there was all kinds of other shit. They were like, dude, you were picking fights with people and then walking up to them and hugging them and telling them you loved them and shit. And I was like,
God damn. Man, I can't drink.
Bless her heart, she's freaking out. Like, I've done so many and I've never had this happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I got up that morning and everybody in the bar's like, dude, you were off, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, dude, this sucks.
Yeah.
I never did go back in that bar again because I was scared to. So, because I'm a pretty big boy, and for somebody, I guess, to pick me up and just throw me,
Mm-hmm.
had to have been a pretty good sized guy because I weigh 240. So, yeah, nothing like having mysteries to solve, ladies and gentlemen. Makes life interesting. Or you get showed videos of shit that you did and you don't remember none of it.
Yeah.
Let me send her a link again. Maybe she can use that one. But yeah, I went to a bar in Ohio once with my brother right before I deployed, and next thing I know, I had all these people coming up giving me free beer and liquor and all this shit, and I'm looking around, I'm like, why in the fuck is all these people giving me this stuff? And then I look over at my brother, Sean, and he just looks at me, holds a beer up like, yeah, like that. So instantly when he does some shit like that, that means he's up to something, right? So I went up to him, I was like, Sean, why is everybody giving me this beer? Oh, no, man, I just told him that you were a war hero and you just came back from Iraq and all this shit. And I was like, dude, I haven't even been yet. He goes, they don't know that. Shut up. Don't ruin it. You're getting free beer. I was like, well, God, dude.
That's hilarious.
So, I guess they're having Wi-Fi connection issues out in Virginia, I guess, due to the weather.
Yeah.
I hear your kids.
Yeah, they're fighting. They don't care, apparently.
Never did fight with my siblings, but my cousins, man, we always fought like we was worst enemies.
Yeah. It's okay. I was just joking. All I heard was he was like, I don't care. I was like, he don't care, apparently.
Just wait until they get in their 20s. That's real fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I could actually start singing for everybody if you want me to. I'm just now getting over COVID, so that's not going to be great.
Hit it.
She's my cherry pie.
Do that Axl Rose strut that you was talking about.
I'm too old for that, bro. I don't even remember how it did it. They said I just jumped up and started doing the whole like that, and just scooching my feet across the piano. I was probably scratching the shit out of the piano.
That's amazing.
They said all they saw was some guy just grab me up, and they were like, "Oh shit!"
That's funny as shit.
Passed out on a park bench in Savannah once.
Yeah, I like to sing when I drink. My fucking wife has fucking videos of me fucking singing fucking Britney Spears and a whole bunch of weird shit.
I don't drink anymore.
I don't drink anymore.
I got drunk with a buddy once, and we were supposed to go to a bar in Ocracoke Island in North Carolina, and we didn't make it to the bar. We got pre-gaming way too hard at the hotel room, and my girlfriend at the time walks in, and she's like, "You two were literally singing Spice Girls in the hotel room while taking shots of freaking Crown Royal, and then you passed out."
That's awesome. Drinking is not my thing, man. It sucks.
DNS server. What is a DNS server? She's saying something about her DNS server. D. Oh, it means she can't connect to the internet. She's like, I love talking to you guys so much. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. I'll wait around. And if we have to, guys, unfortunately, if we have to reschedule, we have to reschedule. Weather's a little shitty out on the East Coast right now. It's understandable. That's why it's called a live stream. It's not going to be perfect.
Nope.
But you get to see mine and Alessa's pretty little faces and my dimples. So how much further you got before you actually get in demand on Indiegogo?
I think like 4,000.
That doesn't seem like a lot, but in movie making, that's
yeah. I mean, it's not either way. The movie's gonna happen, you know. I just started this to, so everybody could be involved for the most part. It's a really cool idea, Indiegogo.
So here's a question: how did you come across Sabu, the ECW wrestler?
Man, dude, I'm a big wrestling fan, so you know, I reached out to James Ellsworth at first. He has a sick role in the movie. He's got one of my favorite scenes. But yeah, I just reached out to a couple people. And he actually he's really excited about it too. He can't wrestle right now because he has a broken back. So he's so he's just sitting at home. But yeah, I just reached out to him. Then we talked on the phone, made an agreement, and he agreed to be a part of it. Talking to some other people too, some other wrestlers.
How the hell did he break his back?
I'm not sure.
Dude, he was like, if people don't know who James Ellsworth is, there between, I would say, 2016 and 17, he was quite possibly the hottest jobber in wrestling, I would say.
That's what I was telling him when we was on the phone. I was like, dude, you were the shit. Like, he beat Styles like 3 times.
Yeah. There ain't many people out there that can say that they look back on their win. And I get it. You know, win-loss records are probably, I get it. It's scripted. It's not real. Fine. Still real to me, damn it. But James Ellsworth, hey, he goes down in history as a guy that got 3 straight wins on AJ Styles. That's not something that many people can say they got.
Yeah. He's a cool dude.
I've always wanted to meet AJ, man. I got to see him wrestle in person, and to watch him in person compared to on television, it's so much. Oh my God, dude. To be 40 years old and to still move the way he moves.
Yeah, man. He's super talented.
Yeah, no pun intended. He is phenomenal.
Yeah, we're talking to a couple other wrestlers, though. Dreamer, Raven.
Oh God, man, Raven. Quote Raven nevermore.
Yeah. I just emailed him. I emailed him his I just sent him his scene. It's pretty dark. I think he's gonna dig it though.
She's gonna go try to restart her router. If that don't work, then yeah, guys, we might have to reschedule that. No big deal. I mean, happens. Things happen. But yeah, man, Raven. What's his name? Scotty Brooks. I think his real name.
Something like that.
Dude started out as a manager. I remember he was with the Quebecers, which was Mountie, Jacques Rougeau, and PCO, as you know him now. But at the time, he was Lafitte. He was a pirate. Jean-Pierre Lafitte. There you go. And he went to ECW, became a wrestler. Kind of like the epitome of grunge goth, I guess you would say.
He scares me, so instead I'm just gonna be like, do whatever you want to do, man. You're fucking Raven. I ain't telling you what to do. Direct yourself, man. I'll pay you.
Sorry, I'm trying to text her back.
I just dropped my phone on the floor.
Yeah, who's another wrestling kind of sucks now, dude. I ain't gonna lie.
I don't even watch it anymore.
I watched New Japan.
It makes me sad to watch, dude. Like, such a big like fan, dude. It's like I was born like from the moment, like for as long as I remember, I watched it. You know, now it's just like I gotta watch old shit that they fucking cut up and edited on the fucking whatever network they're on now.
Yeah. Like I get, Reigns. I like Reigns' thing now where he's a heel, which I always felt
cool
he
at
should
first.
be. But now it's getting a little old.
Yeah, at first it was good. Now it's just fucking annoying.
AEW was okay there for a little bit. Now it's like, I
don't watch that either.
There when they brought Jay Lethal in, I was like, all right, they got Jay Lethal in. And then next thing I know, they're putting him on the damn AEW Dark Show. I'm like, this guy is a 6-time Ring of Honor champion, one of the most well-known wrestlers in the world.
Yeah.
And you're putting him on a YouTube wrestling show.
Yeah. They're kind of doing what TNA did, dude. Like TNA took everybody that just left WWE. That's exactly what they're doing.
She goes, thanks. That's so nice. You both made me feel so comfortable and chill talking to you. But she's still going to try to get on. But unfortunately, she thinks her region is out, guys. So there might be a chance that we might have to reschedule this thing. Like me and Les said, it's no big deal. It happens. So if we have to reschedule, we'll have to reschedule her. But hey, look at it like this. You get 2 episodes of Nancy. So talking about Scream.
Screaming.
She seemed like she really wanted to be on more. I would love to have her on as much as possible.
Awesome. I was just lost in her stories. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was wanting to ask her so bad because there's a story out there, and I'll tell some of it, being while she's trying to wait to get back on, or maybe if she can't. So supposedly the Drew Barrymore scene in Scream where they where she calls, I guess, 911. It was either her or it might have been Sidney Prescott, one of the two that called 911.
Mm-hmm.
Well, supposedly the effects guy that was controlling the phones and stuff accidentally left this phone hooked to the actual line. So she really called 911 and they sent cops out and thought that there was a murder really taking place and shit. So it was just crazy stuff like that.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. The scenes between Billy and Stu at the end where they stabbed each other and they were cussing each other. Back and forth. That was all ad lib. When he hit him with the phone, he goes, "You hit me with the phone, you dick." That wasn't even part of the script. That was just him just kind of.
Matthew Lillard is a genius, man. He's good at everything he does.
Trying to see if I can get her maybe if anything, we can do a part 2 next Saturday. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it was slippery. Michelle says it was slippery and it flew out of Skeet's hands. Yeah, that was an accidental thing because of the corn syrup, I guess. It slipped out of his hand and hit Matthew Lillard. And I guess that was a real reaction of where he was like, "You hit me with the phone, you dick." So they just left it.
That's cool shit. That's funny. I didn't hear about that.
I heard so many fans talking about before the movie dropped. They were like, "I wonder if Stu's back. I wonder if Stu's back." I was like, I don't know if Stu survived that television smashing into his face and then electrocuting him. So,
Dude, I fucking love Stu.
I wanted him to be back.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but fucking fuck. Whole time I'm like, where the fuck is Stu at?
Yeah, I know so many fans wanted him back, and I was like, I just don't know how in the world you're going to bring him back from that TV smashing his fucking gourd.
Yeah. I'd have been cool with it either way. They wouldn't even have to explain it to me. I'd have been like, fuck, Stu is back.
So, guys, I got to update on Nancy. So what happened is I guess they have inclement weather coming or is already there. So it's knocked out the internet for her region. So what we're going to do is we're going to end this right here, or maybe me and Les will just talk a little bit more. It doesn't matter, whatever. But, you know, we might just jump off here either way. And we'll have Nancy on again next Saturday at the same time. So then she'll be back to finish telling stories. It happens. So much, you know, I guess the weather is just bad on the East Coast right now. I mean, you probably know, Les, you're out on that end, Michelle in our chat, and Mandy, I'm pretty sure it's not been great with the winter storms. So, yeah, we'll try this again next Saturday. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. It happens. But fear not. We will have Nancy back, and she'll continue to tell us more stories, because believe me, I have some stories I wanted to ask her about if she got one of those really rare wine bottles that said Scary Movie on it, because that was what the movie was originally supposed to be called. And I guess at the wrap party, each member of the cast got a bottle of Scary Movie wine from Wes Craven. So did Nancy get one? I guess we'll find out. So, well, Les, thanks for joining me, buddy.
Yeah,
sorry it kind of ended the way it ended. I do apologize.
It was awesome, man. I loved your stories.
But yeah, we'll try to do this again. So yeah, you're going to get part 2 of Nancy and Ritter from Scream. So yeah, guys, just tune in again next Saturday, and I guess if Les is not busy, he'll be back too. So we'll talk to you again. And buddy, I appreciate you coming on at such short notice. And
yeah, thank you, dude. Thanks for having me.
No problem, man. And you guys has joined us. Thank you for joining us. And just going to end it by saying, love you. Y'all stay fiendish. We'll see you again next Saturday. Later.